escrow team, on the marketing team. I'm sure you'll see their faces. So we'll go ahead and Maya, you want to start?
Hi, I'm Maya Spencer. I'm part of the sales team with Amy Corey.
Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Tanya, step forward.
Hi, I'm Tanya Sophia. I'm an escrow officer.
Great to see everyone.
And Caitlin.
Hello, I'm Caitlin. I'm Tanya's assistant. I'm Rowan and I want to share.
Thank you guys so much for coming on up. We will send you out this CE by the end of the day. So it may even be while you're sitting here, but you will get marked in as we're sitting here, and then you will get the CE. And then later today, if I can get it up on YouTube that quickly, we will get you out the link to the YouTube channel as well as the PowerPoint that folks need to share with me. So I just want to take some time. We are very excited to have Lori here with us. Lori, if you don't know, she was on our Western Title team and on Tanya's team for how many years, Tanya?
5 years? It was a good time.
Yeah. So we're so excited to have her back in the building and have her present today. And then we also have Josh with us today too. So I'm going to go ahead.
You don't want to try to do my last name?
No, I didn't. Did you notice that?
Yeah, it's all right.
So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to them and let them.
Sure.
Amy? Oh, no, go for it.
Okay.
Josh, take it away.
All right, so my last name for the joke there is Reznicsek, but it looks like someone just took a handful of the alphabet and threw it on a piece of paper. So that's why. But we kind of wanted to start this fire class off with just like talking about, you guys might remember a couple of fires that happened in Oregon back in 2020. I wasn't actually down here for like your guys' fire. I was up. I live up in Albany, so I was working for a farm co-op at the time, and when those fires were going through like Detroit and through the canyon there, we had the only gas station that was in that Mahama, Detroit area, and so. My boss and we actually drove around a few barricades and got a generator out there so that the fire department could keep running fuel in their equipment and stuff like that. So it was a crazy time for sure. Lori, do you want to share a story about where you were when those fires were going?
Well, you had mentioned too that you had to get the only place for access to water. That was what said too.
No, not water, just the fuel. We did truck water in with some of our water trucks and stuff like that. So it was like an all hands on deck sort of situation. It was a wild time.
My story isn't as dramatic. I was literally standing at 6 in the evening at a Hong Kong restaurant, great Chinese food, and I'm standing there in line and I'm looking out the window and it felt like really apocalyptic really because it's just like it was that yellow hue, and the birds are flying west and it's just. I didn't know what was going on. My friend that was standing there in front of me and what's happening? So obviously now many of you may have more dramatic stories and you were really affected by it. But it's just I think a really good experience or time to just sort of remember that and then think about what could be and then what can we do to be maybe more prepared. Which is why we've been I don't want to say excited, but we've been really looking forward to share this class with you because there's a lot of information important things that we can do to prepare, not if, but when it happens again. Because as you know, wildfires they're increasing in both frequency and severity. So the fact that you guys have chosen to be here says a lot because it's taking all of us to try to be proactive and we're going to share some things we can do. So my name is Lori Rarey. You already heard. Little title and escrow experience and then some insurance background. I'm appointed also with the Oregon Fair Plan. Not all agents are, so it's kind of fun. I get to do that.
Again, I'm Josh Reznicsek. That's the crazy last name up there for you all to see. I've been in the insurance industry for a little over 3 years now. Actually closer to 4 years, but I started off as an agency owner for Farmers Insurance before I came over to the broker independent side. Some call it the dark side, it's the light side. So, and then Scott Sherborne is our director, and he had every intention of being here all up until he went to Idaho. So, a little bit of the wrong direction.
But he is, you would have enjoyed him, and next time, hopefully, he'll be here. Okay, so we've got a lot of things to kind of get, cover in this 1 hour, and we'll get you out on time. We're gonna talk, of course, about what the wildfires have done financially. The impact is pretty big. But, then we're gonna talk a little bit about insurability in various areas, in Lane County specifically, can apply to others, but, and of course, the Oregon fire map that came out in January. What is that, and does that affect premiums? Further, we'll talk a little bit more to how insurance carriers actually rate properties. Like, are they looking at the Oregon fire map? How are they determining, my protection class, my premium? Then of course, we'll talk about whole pond rivers and if they matter or not. What's super important, I think, for me, I get really excited about is home mitigation strategy. Helping homeowners know what they can do to mitigate. That's huge right there. I feel like that's like my exciting part. A little bit of the Oregon Fair Plan. What is it? How does it work? How do you sign up for it? And then, how do you get fire insurance? How do you access it? Then we'll open it up for questions. So, take it away, Josh.
All right. I'll let you just kind of, yeah, there we go. So I get the fun part, and I actually do mean this. I like to nerd out over like the numbers and the statistics. I am that guy. But I get the fun job of showing you guys all the scary things, and then I get to tell you why it's not as scary as it should be. So all of the information that I'm going to share with you guys today actually comes from the Oregon Director of Insurance, and these are going to be slides just kind of talking about like natural disasters and the more frequency of them growing. So you can see here that on this graph here, we go all the way back to 2017 here. This orange line, orange red, whatever, line here is 2024. And so this is the most current information, obviously, that we have of where it's at. This black line right here is just kind of the average of what it's been in total recording history. But you can see the purple line there is 2023. So 2023 and 2024, we had a pretty significant increase. On the side here, you have the number of events, and then this is just your graph of the year. Yeah, let's go. And so we're going to get into a little bit more detail on these, but this is your total like drought, flooding, freeze, severe storm, tropical cyclone, wildfire, and winter storm. So we're going to break it down into a little bit more information. Also, with these slides, if you guys have questions on them as we go through, we can probably do like a couple of questions like as they go, but if we wait till the end, you'll probably forget whatever your question is. So just holler it out, interrupt me, I love them. These are all also adjusted for inflation. So go ahead and move to the next one. Okay, so this is specific in wildfires. This graph here goes back to 2011, and your two different colored graphs right here. So your light blue is going to be the total economic loss, and then your dark blue graph is everything that was covered by insurance, right? So you can see that we had a nice little trend of not too terribly bad all up until 2017, and then we had a crazy dip in 2019. Now, I don't 100% know the answer to this, so I'm throwing that out ahead of time, but does anyone have any guesses of why it changed 2016 to 2017?
Waterfall,
Hmm?
waterfall, rainfall.
Well, this is specific, well, that could be less rainfall, yeah, sure.
Is Palisades Fire? What is that?
That's not even interesting.
No, that won't be, yeah, that won't be,
Good guess, though.
yeah.
Presidential politics?
Well,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, I don't have 100% the answer of like what it was, like what specific thing caused it to go up like that, but it could be a little bit of like column A, B, and C there, right? Just a mix. It could have, I mean, there could be so many things, cutting funding for like taking care of forests and stuff like that. There's a bunch. But the most important information to grasp out of this is just see that for insurance companies, and like when you're thinking, oh my gosh, why does my rate keep going up like all the time? I mean, this is how much they're throwing out. I mean, this is in the billions here. So 16.58, 56, 56, 52, and then 13. So this is a crazy amount of money like that's just happening in a short amount of time that they're throwing out for this. So, yeah.
This is residential homes losses, right?
This
No.
this is total. So this would be commercial as well. But we're going to kind of get into a little bit of like structures and stuff like that here in just a little bit. We're going to see why things are different in our states than, I don't know, maybe you guys heard about California having a couple of fires recently. But we'll get into that here in just a second. Do you want to move to the next one? So that's where we're taking this is because California has been in the news lately a ton with like all of the wildfires and like insurance and going back and forth, and how does this relate to things like the FAIR plan? Real quick, before I get into talking about a little bit more of the FAIR plan, does everybody understand what the FAIR plan is?
well, we are gonna cover a little more.
I know, I just want like a little bit of an understanding. So, FAIR plan is basically, if you can't get insurance through private insurance, this is a state-ran insurance that will cover very little things. And I'm being vague in that because we're gonna go way more into it, but that's essentially what it is. And so, big differences here in Oregon and California. Obviously, that's still a scary number. I mean, total number of fires, 1,900 versus California's 8,000, right? And you can see total acres burned. We're clearly more than California. So, what do you guys think is the differences in California and Oregon in those fires that makes California much more of a financial risk than Oregon? Yep.
Denser population?
Yep, 100%. So structures destroyed in Oregon, you've got 42 residential and 132 minor structures versus 1,716 that were destroyed in California. So,
But they saved the smelt fish.
this will be back from 2017.
Maybe 23, I believe, on this one.
This is all 23?
Up to 23.
Up to 23. I think it's 2017 to 2023 is what this is. And so when Oregon has a wildfire, primarily it's burning land. And so the Oregon government owns the majority of that land. And without like specific commercial policies, your average like homeowners insurance isn't insuring any of the land. So most of what burns in Oregon is land versus what burns most in California is structures.
Is that because of Oregon's land use planning code that they've been intentional about not building houses in a high wildfire risk zone before?
Could be part of it,
I
yeah.
think that is part of it, for sure. The fact we have 53% federally owned, so that's not probably not by chance, so good question.
Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna go into a few more crazy numbers here. So this is over the last 10 years, right? These are averages. So Oregon, 2,094 wildfires, 702,313 acres burned, compared to California's 8,518 wildfires and little over 1.2 million acres burned. You can see, again, huge difference in structures number. We got 417 with 231 being the residential of those structures. And then I don't have the residential figures in here for California, but 5,640. So all of these numbers, right? Looking at them, a lot of them in California with the recent like wildfires that went through there are going to be covered or are going to be covered by that California State Fair Plan. And so, so a little bit, not to get too far into the weeds here, but they're gonna end up basically paying out more than what they're getting in the premium to cover for the state. So reinsurance is gonna have to step in and bridge that gap. Now, if you all want to like fall asleep at night, give me a call and I'll go really into detail about what reinsurance is and how these policies work and everything. Other than that, just know that reinsurance is insurance for insurance companies. So we're probably gonna feel the sting of the California wildfires in Oregon, because when the reinsurance steps in and pays out, they're gonna raise their rates just like insurance company raises the rates for their clients, for all of the insurance companies to buy the reinsurance, which means insurance companies' rates are gonna go up, which is just gonna keep passing down the hill till it gets to the rest of us peasants. So, so that's where we're probably gonna feel the sting from these California wildfires. And that will be like, probably across the nation. That would feel that. So, so we're gonna talk a little bit more about, the insurability with wildfires, and kind of more specifically, I'll briefly go over some of these, because we're gonna go into like your defensible space, your home hardening, all of these things, we're gonna go into in a little bit. Few more slides, we'll go into way more detail about them, but there are things that you can do to mitigate some of that premium hit, and not only the premium hit that you're gonna feel, but just the ability to get the insurance altogether. Because in the last like 2+ years in the insurance industry, we have seen risks go from being really easy to write, like no problem, to they're really expensive, to we're not even touching them. So with that, like for all of you guys, a little nugget of information. Talk to your insurance agents that you guys refer business to early in the process of getting the house, because the more time they have to be able to find policies and be able to shop things and look for stuff, the better. But you know, defense. Let me see, what am I missing here? So this underwriting and rating phase, that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying like that's who's looking at these. The underwriters are looking at this, and they're looking at what the fire score is for things. They're looking at the location of the home, and we'll go into more detail about what exactly they're looking at, deciding whether they're going to take the risk or not. Did you have a question? And I'll get you.
Yeah, speaking of underwriting,
Yeah.
so, you've got insurance, brokerages
Mhm.
throughout. Is an underwriter, do they work for multiple different companies, or is it the underwriter for that company?
It's the underwriter for that company.
That's a good, yeah, it's a good question, because every single carrier has their own. And then what's fun is well, when you have a broker, is that they can get on the phone directly with them and just say, hey, and then move to the next if, you have any pushback.
So one underwriter for one company may value risk different than another.
Absolutely. And I've worked both sides of the insurance industry. So starting out at Farmers, I was what's called a captive agent, which is I worked specifically for farmers. I had my farmers underwriter that I would call for things. And then now with kind of being the independent broker side, I can tell you that It's actually easier to get a hold of your underwriter, like on the broker side. I don't know why that is, but it is, and actually have conversations with them. So, we've learned we've learned a lot in the last few years of like how to get along with underwriters and look for, places to place insurance.
Was there another question?
Yep, right over here.
So, as a lender, I know that credit scores obviously affect premiums, but I've also had instances where, claims that my clients had with a previous home that they owned has impacted the
Mhm.
premium, but I also had one recently where it was a claim against the property with a previous owner, and that one surprised me. So is that prevalent among all carriers now?
So, yeah, when we're quoting out insurance, actually, do you wanna take this one, or do you want me to?
Yeah, no, I'm happy,
sorry.
just because I've had a couple agents ask for a clue report when they take the listing. And, which is kind of fun, it's ahead of time, I heard it's getting more common up in Portland. But by doing that, I can go through and go, oh, yeah, we did have a refrigerator, leak, and it ended up being $11,000 in damage. Then we talk to the underwriter, say, this is what happened, here's evidence of total repair, and then we can continue on, that won't affect me.
So is it claims that that insurance company was involved with, or do you have access to?
All of them, yeah.
And kind of on that one where you said it was previous owner, a lot of times we can exclude that if it's a previous owner, so it's not showing up on theirs.
And then
So-
they can get on the phone with the underwriter.
Mhm.
What
But
kind of
does that-
report did you call that?
It's called a clue report. It stands, well, actually, I'll give anyone $5 if they can tell me what it stands for right now. It stands for, Comprehensive Loss Underwriting Exchange Report. So basically, it's the report that runs and looks for
All
any and all
claims.
claims that have been made, either on the property or by the individual.
What stage of the property, what can get removed?
Say it again.
What stage of the property and what can be removed?
Well, all claims are gonna show up on the property, and it's just, let's say it's somebody buying a house, like going in, if it was a claim that somebody else made before this person's even the owner of the house, that's where you talk to the underwriter, and you get that excluded off of their, that report form, so it's not affecting their rate, because they didn't make the claim. I'll get 1 second, did you have a question back there?
Yes, I do. Anytime we have a listing agent who's gonna be listing a piece of property, they get the list kit, they get the basic information. Would you say that this is something you'd want all the agents to do when they list a property? Just to check for things, or maybe in certain areas like the Mackenzie River, if there's a question regarding flood insurance, something seems off, is that when you would like to see that from the listing agent, or
I know
on
for
all
me-
property?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I think that for me personally, it's really fun to be able to go through and say, like they just did yesterday morning. And it was fun to get that and to say, hey, Erica, actually, nothing has been reported, so, it doesn't mean there's never been a damage to the home, but nobody's reported it to the national database. And so your buyers and your sellers can all buy and sell with confidence, at least you know that much, that the home is structurally or more or less claim free. So I think for me personally, it's really great to do that. How about for you, Josh?
Yeah, so if somebody's listing a property, like if one of the real estate agents that I work with are listing a property, there's other reports that you can run through specific carriers. We have one that's a proprietary, like, MarshMcLennan product that I try to run ahead of time for them, before they list, that just talks about, let me back up just a second, because this is CE. All insurance agents can run a type of report. There's one that I run that's specific to, MarshMcLennan, that just talks about, like, what the insurance company is really looking at with this property. It'll give you, it'll take all of the MLS information, and it will also give you, information about, like, so say there's a gas station, within a mile down the road or something like that. They're looking at, potential underground tank leakage, right? And So they'll give it like from an A to a D score on it, and just makes the future homeowner completely aware of everything that's there. It can also help in the mitigation of premium, because if they're looking at things like vegetation, well, obviously we can trim up vegetation and like try to re-rate this thing.
That seems like it would be a valuable service, especially when there's improvements, like a new roof or something, that they will contact you if you got a metal roof with the insurance.
Roofs can be a little bit more difficult because you don't have to pull a permit for them.
Yeah.
I did that little,
Exactly, and any insurance carrier or agent, I should say, should be able to do that for you.
Yep.
So, I think that would be awesome.
Reports for commercial properties too, or just residential?
There's a different type of report that you can run for commercial properties, but similar. Yeah. And you have a question?
And how far back do they go on claims?
It depends on the carrier, but usually 5 to 7 years is what they're looking at, right? I mean, have you seen any go further
No,
back
I
than
have
that?
not, but that's a good question. So, you had something like 20 years ago, I've had people say, hey, I've had, this is a family house, I know we did such and such, I'm like, well, it's not pulling on our records, and, yeah, that's good. Let's talk about the Oregon the Oregon Fire Map.
Yeah, so there's been lots of confusion about the Oregon Fire Map that was, that had went out pretty recently with,
January.
yeah, it's fairly recent, right? But the biggest takeaways that we need to know about like the fire map that they put out is that insurance carriers are not allowed to approve or deny coverage based on this map alone, like the fire map alone. So they can't say, we're non-renewing or we're canceling this policy because this map came out and your fire zone updated. They cannot do that. Which is a really good thing, because it's kind of a protection from Oregon, that passed, because they didn't have that in California, and there were lots of homes getting non-renewed right before that, like, those fires came through. You guys might have seen something about that too. I'm sure all claims are getting paid out, but that is a big plus for us in Oregon here, is that they cannot base it off of that.
So
Awesome.
they're still canceling them though. I actually went to the state, capitol and met with, multiple of our Congress folks. And some of the testimonials that I've shared, they may not be able to do it exclusively off of that, but you and I both know that if they wanna cancel it, they're gonna find a way to cancel it, and they have.
And you're right. I was 18 when I got the first word from an insurance carrier. I know I'm an insurance broker. I was 18 driving without insurance. But I recall though, later on, the word that and I did, somebody else, et cetera, so it's just good stuff that we were young. But what I was told is that insurance companies are not in the business of giving away money. So you're right, some are doing that. But what's good is we're gonna go through and talk about the ways that they are required to assess your property specifically, the actual ABCs of that. Cause then, if somebody does get a non-renewal, we'll talk about the things they should be looked at, things that you can do for your own property for insurability, and maybe you have some other options. But does that address what?
Well, I mean, yes, so that gives us a strategy, right?
Yeah.
The
That's
other
right.
thing though
Exactly.
is not that so much that they're denying renewal, some are denying renewal. And yet others, even on the fair plan, have exponentially increased the premiums by 10-fold. So, for instance, I have one particular individual who was paying $3,000 annually, and it went to $30,000. The average homeowner cannot sustain that, and even the average second homeowner cannot sustain that. Now, this was a business but they were paying $3,000, and it went from $3,000 to $30,000 for the business. Even small businesses can't really sustain that.
Right.
So, the government, having the strategy, first of all, of what to ask, you know, that's huge. But then the second thing is, how do you, so they have this fair plan and you can get insurance,
Mhm.
and the government has said that when they passed the fire ban, right?
Mhm.
We can't deny you insurance, so
You can't deny
you
it.
can get insurance, but the price is so high, you can't afford the insurance that you can get.
That is
So what, is there a
reality.
strategy for that as well?
with us or with
I
everybody?
think,
Just
no,
generally
that's
speaking.
good, I think it's a
Just
good
generally
case,
speaking.
no, that's right, I think it'd be more of a case by case. I've written Oregon Fair plans and they're $1,200, but that doesn't mean all do that either. So I think that it could be more of a case by case. We would love to, if you want to, we can totally talk offline on that and dig in. Cause there could be some things that could be, you know, strategized already with that current carrier or a different carrier perhaps. Yeah, but that's good, I like it.
Mhm. Yeah.
But it was a lot of data and info, and that's why, Josh, I love talks about data and it's exciting. But for me, I like data, but after a while, my brain starts to hurt. So we thought we'd just take a little break and test your fire smart. So, everybody think, no Google, which Oregon city is known as the fire capital of the world, due to the history of devastating wildfires and, ongoing prevention? Is it Ashland, Bend, Medford, or Salem?
I wanna say Medford on my.
Medford, okay. Anybody else? Bend, okay. All answers in? Do you have one, Andrea?
Probably a trick question, please.
What's that?
It's probably a trick question.
You know what, it surprised me, I was Medford, it's actually Ashland. Didn't know, so that was fun. When you think about putting all these together, there's a lot of information. As soon as the Palisades fires were happening, you know, it just kind of brought to mind so many things that I know. My family's in Southern Oregon, so many things that came to mind of like, oh my gosh, we've been wanting to share this. But as we're researching it and it gets so data heavy, we start trying to find things that were fun, and then I was like, I didn't know that, so I'm glad it sounds like maybe you didn't either. Okay, so, back to Josh.
Yeah, so, again, we're gonna talk, this is a little bit more into like what they're looking at, how they're rating. So, proximity to fire services, how close you are to the fire department, what type of, fire department is it a subscription-based fire department, is it a volunteer fire department, all of that. The fire protection classes, they rate them from 1 to 10. If you guys can find a protection class 1, keep it alive, bring it to us. We want to study it and try to replicate it because it's a unicorn. 10 is the worst, 1 is being the best. A 1's got to be like they throw the fire hose over the back fence and they can put the fire out. And then what type of material it's built with, what type of safety features do they have, the location of the property, claims history, and your credit score also goes into how all of that plays out. All of these things, these two right here and location, those are going to affect what's called your insurance score, and then your credit score goes in there as well to affect the rate.
I was gonna mention too, on the property location, it could be just 8 miles from the nearest fire station, but the road to get that 8-mile road is 1 lane, gravel, winding, and they can't get a big huge tinker out there to put that out. So that's something that they will also consider, it's not just that 8 miles from the station.
Yeah, no, we're good. We can.
Hey, somebody has
Is there a weighted scale as to those points, which one is a higher?
It affects it more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Credit score.
I'm positive that there is. Do I know that, what it is? No.
You know what, but we can ask, we've got some people that we can ask, so I can get back to you on email. And you had a question?
Just how do you find out the fire protection class?
Usually when we're quoting it out, we'll see what the protection class code is
Or
for
if
it.
you just have a property before a quote and you say, hey, I just got a listing, or my seller thinks such and such, but, and so if you want to even send it to your agent or whomever, they can look it up and give you the class too. Okay.
Isn't that information somewhere in our lid?
It doesn't say the I don't believe it has all the numbers. I've looked at it, but I don't believe I saw all that we would have been calculating the insurance. Good question though, yeah.
Is that class across the board, or is it by agency?
No,
By
that 1 to
carrier.
10 is, each carrier will rate it maybe a little bit different, but that 1 to 10 is pretty
Is it
well
national?
across the board.
Is it national?
One is good and ten is.
One is a
that's it.
unicorn and 10 is our reality.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yes, so, do pools, ponds, rivers help? They do. They help with the mitigation of fire, because obviously if you have a water source that's, close, that's gonna help. I'm trying to run through these a little quicker so Lori can get to her stuff, but, you have some natural barriers that are also gonna help into this, and these are things that insurance companies and agents all look for when writing a policy, is what's gonna mitigate if a fire breaks out.
No, that's absolutely true. This is just real quick, just as I'm sure you've all in various ways experienced with friends, family, or maybe yourself, where you're in the line of the fire. And so and this is my mom's property. When I took the picture, I obviously wasn't thinking about a few years from later in the fire class, but we have a field here, but we have a nice little creek and a pond here. So we just have a little under $1,000 generator. We can hook up fire hoses, we wet it all down. This is actual flame, so ponds maybe and rivers and pools maybe don't help your premium so much, but they help you, and they help you feel a lot better when you have livestock, etc. So just wanted to add that. So after all of that,
Your turn.
no, I'm just saying, after all this doom and and classes and claims, etc., what can we do as sellers? It's exactly that. We can reduce the fire exposure through what we call hardening our property. And now let's talk about how we can do that. We can actually use fire-resistant roofing. If I could put a metal roof in all of Oregon homes, I would feel really good. And I live downtown, and there's a home on Lincoln Street. Got a beautiful green metal roof. I'm thinking, this is awesome, provided it's downtown. I love it. So that's a huge one. That's why I put it at the first, at the top. Avoid shakers. Now, believe it or not, there are still homes that are sucked up in the McKinsey with shakers. But seems like a no-brainer, but definitely get those out of there. Alter your gutters. Anything that could be considered dry leaves, anything that could be considered fuel, clear it out. Put nice little mesh underneath the eaves to reduce anything flying or catching up in there, and then on top of the gutters. That'd be super helpful. Again, fire resistant siding, and that can be like, let's see, we have siding, cement fiber, rock, of course, metal. My mom just put metal siding on her barn, they're waiting. Believe it or not, the windows, those help too. Also, the landscaping, so the property. That can be, again, going back to anything that can be considered fuel, which is all the brush, the pine needles, dried debris, anything that you can clear up, take an air blower, get it far away from your property, trimming leaves, cutting down anything, trees that are within 15 feet, super, super helpful. And create zones. And by zones, yes, exactly this, creating the definite areas out, starting from your home and working out like a ripple effect. I've got a little illustration here. This is not a requirement, but this right here, you will thank your future self. My mom, I keep mentioning her, because she's like, oh my goodness, you need to fix it. Wood piles, super handy to have them close to your home, because especially when it's crappy weather, you can just reach out. She has a cute little door, she can get her wood. My mom, we can't do that. We need to move that away from the house. That's in zone 0. So what we're doing is just kind of working our way out, and I apologize, I'm watching the time. So there you go. And we'll have this in a PowerPoint that we're gonna show you later on, so you can have it, you don't have to take a lot of photos. You're welcome to. This, by the way, because fire mitigation strategies can be really costly. I don't know if anybody here has fallen any trees. It's expensive. Yeah, $25,000 for 11 trees seems to be a rate. So what's good is Lane County actually provides, I'm hoping it'll still prevail, but grant money, plus they have a list of contractors that can come out. You guys can work out payment schedules, or whomever, your sellers, whoever is in that position, that needs the grant money. So you can tell your sellers, your buyers, whatever it be, that's available right now. Hopefully it'll continue. All right, so this next one, I thought was kind of fun. We talked about hardening our properties. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go here and we're gonna watch a tiny little movie. Oopsie, is it working? Does not appear to be working. I apologize. Let's try that one more time. Oh, that's a bummer. Let's see here. Well, I'll just explain what happened. I was worried what happened.
Act it out.
It did. Perfect example, as you can see, hardened property, got cement all around here, metal fencing, and then over here we've got this little bark and mulch that makes everything pop. Bushes right next to the house, a regular standard comp roof, shingled roof, looks great, nothing wrong with it, you think. But the video, which I guess we got from Wildfire, this goes down in this goes down in 3 minutes. This stays totally unscathed. So, oh yeah, and the metal roof too. So it's real to the effects and the benefit of hardening your property.
Do they light the fire on the structure directly, or do they light a bush nearby?
They'll light the,
Look like they're lighting right there on the ground.
yep.
Yep. And it was amazing how fast that Barkamont just went like that. And it looks like I'm having a little, my little computer, there we go. Okay.
It's playing, or it's trying to.
Wanting to play, yeah, but I've had that too, so I don't wanna, let's just go to the next. Cause it may play and it may not. I'll send you the link though, you'll have that. It's only like a minute.
Okay, so another fun little, trivia question here. What is the name of the annual event in Oregon that encourages residents to prepare for wildfire season and promotes fire safety awareness? Is it A, the Oregon Fire Fest, B, Wildfire Awareness Month, C, Fire Safety Week, or D, Oregon Burn Ban Day?
Anyone?
I wanna say it's C.
You want, okay. What's the final answer?
B.
B? B's right.
Yep.
Yep.
Good job, everybody. I think this, Oregon Fire Fest, wasn't there a fire festival that was, that
I think
sounded
so,
terrible,
yeah. Seemed appropriate.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the Oregon Fair Plan, we kind of touched on it with Scotia here a minute ago. It's kind of like, you can almost think FEMA, but yet, you know, when we flood, FEMA. And in a way, that's kind of how you can think of the Oregon Fair Plan, but just it's just one state level, not federal. Here, I'll go into the next. It has, yeah, we had a lot of active policies. We did, the limits increased, and what I mean by that, it went to 600,000 total insured value. What does that mean? A total, flood plan only covers 250,000, you wanna compare those? So that's not bad, that's what's nice in point 3, we got more. And of course you can increase a little bit up to 600. Does not include liability, so that's really important for people to know. That's like the big extra leg of your homeowner's insurance. So you're hobbling around, and I have one guy, we went through the fire season. I think we're gonna be able to get him into a standard, regular, full-blown homeowner's policy, but right now we're just kinda hopping along one leg. Okay.
Oh, yeah, so this is just kinda how it breaks down in a fair plan policy. So your coverage A, that's your dwelling, that's your building itself. And then the coverage C is gonna be your personal property. The way to think about personal property is if you rip off the roof of the structure, turn it around, shake it, everything that falls out is personal property. The only covered perils that you're gonna see on these policies are fire, windstorm, hail, and vandalism. And like Lori said, the total insured value is, you can now get up to 600,000. Yes, Andrea?
Do you have to qualify, to be written with the Oregon Fair Plan? How does that work?
Yep, exactly, and that's actually gonna be on the next slide, where here's an example of what a policy looks like, it's super bare bones, you know, it's minimal coverage. Side note, by the way, vandalism does not cover theft, so remember. But, good question. The only way to get this, though, is you have to be turned down by 2 different standard carriers before you can access. Otherwise, they'll say, nice, but we can't help you until we've gotten a harden. So I had one gal where she was just out London Road in Cottage Grove, and it was a whopper of a premium. She goes, "Can I get it now?" And I said, "I wish," but they didn't say no. So, we had to try to wait a little bit. And, oh, and I was gonna say, what's interesting too about this one, it took us 2 months to get this issue because there were fires that were within 10 miles. Yeah, go ahead.
So you're saying that if they were offering the policy for $30,000 a year, it isn't a negative, it isn't turned down?
Right, it doesn't qualify as a denial.
What could the buyer of the property say to that insurance company, like, I don't owe that much money, or, you know?
Your insurance
could be-
agent can contact the underwriter and specifically ask them, in a email, whether it would be approved or denied.
For my gal, that was gonna be 6,000, and she was like, "Can I go?" And I said, "We can't." And we had to work up, we got it down to 4. And she plans to sell. She's a widow, she's not planning to sell, but at least we got her something, but we were able to whittle it down by talking to the underwriter.
So the strategy, you have to be denied twice in order to get into the one plan.
Yep.
So shopping around for people to deny you, is that what people are doing?
What? Is this being videoed?
Well, I mean,
We're gonna
if
talk a
you-
lot after this
Yeah,
class,
that's a good
in a good
idea.
way.
If you have to be denied
Okay.
twice and somebody says, well, $30,000, but we're not denying you, so then you can't get into this, then you would think as the homeowner, they would shop it around.
Yeah, well, that is the rule, the 2-time denial.
Okay,
Maybe we,
understood.
yeah.
You've set it up. Thank you.
I like it though, that's awesome. So,
Yeah, our
sorry.
role is to shop for denial, no, I'm just kidding. So we've kind of covered a lot of like what the agent's role is in this, but, we're here to help like your guys' clients, our clients, we're here to help them mitigate, one, high premiums. We're here to help them find coverage that they can actually like get on their property. And like we do it through a lot of the things that we just talked about, but like the most important one is us having open dialogue with our underwriters and being able to like talk to them and explain situations. And so any one of your guys' insurance agents that you work with can do that.
Yep.
I mean, I think it's a thing in real estate, right, that they want at least a few quotes, so it's always good to shop around a little bit, but yeah.
And the day of going out and looking at the houses, sometimes when it hasn't been photographed for a long time, is actually still going on. So your agents aren't just only in their offices. I know for us, you know, I have gone out to, Triangle Lake to look at this, was it a log cabin, and kind of look at how that was, taking pictures, send it to the underwriter, and then they can kind of go, oh, that looks a lot better than what we're seeing from the aerial. So, yeah, your agent should do that, or be able to do that.
So, hello? So how do you buy insurance? You contact your agent, and we talked already about like the Oregon Fair Plan, what has to happen. Was that you, Mary? We talked a little, like, you have to be denied coverage, by two other, normal carriers before you can get on that. You can go to the Oregon Fair Plan website and just see a list of agents that are appointed with the Oregon Fair Plan, so you can reach out specifically to them if that's something that you think you're gonna have to do. You can always contact the Oregon Fair Plan directly too.
Yeah, not necessarily to buy, I think it still needs to go through.
It still has to go through an agent, but you can contact them and you can talk to them
Yeah.
and ask them, like, in the area, where should I look for an agent?
Yeah, and the website is pretty awesome, you can go and get some great things, so. Any other questions? I know we put a lot of info at you, I felt like it was, you know.
Is there a graph, you had early on about the wildfire and what years, but is there a graph, relating to wildfire, destruction versus home fire destruction?
That's a great question. I'm sure such a graph exists
I think it might be one in the end.
in that presentation, yeah. I will go through and look. If you give me, your I'll go through and look at, the director's presentation and see if there's something that calls out specifically home fire versus wildfire. I don't remember off of the top of my head, but I'm sure that graph exists somewhere.
Yeah, the zone fires are off the charts.
Yes.
Versus wildfire fires.
Yeah, yep, absolutely.
You guys have been awesome. Thank you.
I have
Oh,
one
go
more
ahead, yeah.
real quick trivia question for you. We didn't put it in the slides, but it's something I ask in all my classes. How many alien abduction policies have been sold in the United States for all time?
What's the answer?
Abduction policy.
6,000, and the more disturbing part of that is 3 of them have paid out, which means somebody's proved that they've been abducted by, I don't know how, but I'd like to be a fly on the wall and hear that conversation.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Did everybody sign in? I just wanna make sure that you signed in if you need a CE. If not, there are still sign-in sheets out there. We will be getting, our presenters, our class list, so they'll be, reaching out to you as well with, information. I'll be sending you, a link to the recording, and then be watching for our next classes. I think our next one is in June, and I haven't confirmed the date, but it'll be, about, computer security, assist agents with, security on their computers, their personal computers, and email and all of that, so it'll be a great one. And if you guys need any CEs outside of, got your, deadline coming up, reach out to me, I can help you out with, getting you the last few CEs if you're in